friends and family across the multiverse, we are here. Now, we are hyped to tell you, but we regret to tell you we can't take any more members in the party because we are about to dungeon crawl right now. We got our party with us. Now, this is normally booze and news and reviews, but it's going to be a little bit more reviews than booze or news. Now, my name is Ace Trainer Argent, the Ace Trainer of South Silly, and I am not by myself, as you can see. We are going to pass it real quick.
Yo, what's up? Tis I, hailing from the land of Sake, Shinobi, and Samurai. The boys got 0% of I ain't know the name, but this to go by. It's your boy Jayhawk, and to the... Hey, left.
Okay, cool. You already know who it is, baby. It's Big Day. Road Day. Coming at you live from the 215. Somebody in sci-fi and superheroes here to welcome you to a BNR, my barflies. How y'all doing?
Barflies!
Now, in lieu of the multiversal madness, we have some great people with us. We're going to kick it to them and then say what you're sipping on. Say, who are you the champion of? What podcast you're from? We're starting ladies first, of course, with our good friend. Take it away.
Hi there, I'm Jillian from Blurred on the Street. I am 1/3 of the Blurred, and we're a podcast at the intersection of blurreddom, current events, and other interests, including books, TTRPGs, anime, movies, comics, you name it. We're geeking out on everything. And you can find us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. I'm dropping my new single tomorrow, I'm sorry. You can find us on Stitcher, you can find us on Spotify, you can find us on Good Pods, pretty much anywhere. If you go to our Instagram, Blurred on the Street, and click the link tree, you can find out where to listen to us and, get some interesting content.
Thank you very much, and I think our next guest is about to make it known. Talk to the people, my guy.
What's up, guys? My name is Ideal Tone, and I'm here to make known that I am being gladly a part of the Blur Bar today. What I am sipping on is the Appleton Estates, a Jamaican rum straight from Jamaica, courtesy of family. All right?
That's your peoples?
Huh?
That's your peoples? I didn't know that.
Well, it's not my peoples that made it. They sent it to me. So I'll say that. And I am from the podcast Binge or Cringe, where we talk about all things anime and animation, and we really break it down. And I mean, break it down with heated debates and discussions.
It's true. I've seen it. All right. Thank you very much. Now, a friend of mine that I've known, what is Steve like? We've literally known each other, 13, 14 years now?
Sounds about right. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah. Who are you?
All right. So I am Steve, also known as Imminent Doom X, the podcast that I hail from. Wait. Actually, the thing I'm drinking is a bottle of wine that I just happened to have next to me. I didn't get the homework assignment that we were supposed to be drinking, but it's here, so I'm drinking it. But I'm from the podcast Nerd Union, where we talk about the intersection of a whole bunch of nerd topics, from TV and cinema to video games to tech news as well. The show in which I primarily am in is State of the Nerd Union, which takes place on Mondays at 8 p.m. EST, 7 p.m. 9 p.m. EST, 8 p.m. Central. And we have a whole bunch of other shows that focus specifically on movies and specifically on video games and other stuff throughout the week. So tons of content. We're on, all the social media garbage, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Razzmatazz,
Are you
Twitch.
on KIK Messenger?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. No, we're not.
I don't know if you're going to make it through the whole episode.
I am.
I just want you to know.
I am.
I just want you to know.
And finally, we have a new challenger approaches.
Oh, no. You know what's crazy? He's been a day one for the Blur Bar. Yeah.
Did I?
Didn't even realize it. Go ahead, Mike. Talk to
the people, my mans.
Oh, you muted.
There you go.
Yeah, see? This.
There we go.
You're good.
Nope. You did it again.
Stop. Reverse. Yes.
There we go.
All right. My apologies, everyone. Yes, I am Mike from the Unapologetic Mike Check. I am at the intersection of all things nerdum and tired black men. Don't get it confused. Don't get it confused with angry black men, because that's not the case. We just tired.
A very important distinction. Very important distinction.
I cover everything, and I mean everything. I am on all streaming platforms. You can catch it on YouTube, Spotify. If it got a podcast, I'm on there. Season 2 will be launching in January, and I am sipping on a little bit of Jack Daniel's honey.
Okay, that's nice and easy.
Man of culture and class.
Yeah, very, very, very neat. Jack Daniel's neat. Yes, I have been a big Blurred Bar fan from the jump, because Daniel, Big Dan, we go back.
215.
Yeah, go back like 11 years. But no,
college days.
I appreciate you guys for having me.
No problem.
Thank you all. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you, Barflies. We are about to get to it now. Our review, Spider-Man, No Way Home.
No way home.
We're going to break it down. We're going to give our reviews real quick. Get out of the way because we want to hear what these cats got to say.
Well, we said we're gonna give our numbers.
Yeah,
right.
Everybody's gonna rate it from 1 to 5, right? Ooh, so I've been sipping too strong already. Anyway, from 1 to 5, and go from there. After that, that's going to be our spoiler-free portion for anyone that wants to care enough to watch up until that point. And then after that,
We're gonna get
no
down and
holds
dirty.
bar,
No holds bar.
straight up spoilers. Talk about your feelings and your emotions and things that happen. So, going in our order here, the first to give their review on Spider-Man No Way Home will be Jillian.
Yes.
Then Tone. Then Steve. And then Mike.
Mike, following up, protecting the rear guard.
So, yeah, first is the Blurred Bar because it's
Just don't get it twisted. All right.
Go ahead.
Wait, who?
Go ahead. I said go ahead.
Okay, I give this movie 5 out of 5. Dan.
5 out of 5 actually.
Jayhawk.
4.8.
Okay.
Nope, we're not even gonna worry about that. Keep it moving.
Jillian, go.
Hey, I was gonna give it a 4.8 as well.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not perfect, but I loved it.
Tone, what you
I
got?
loved every minute, but there were like a few things going home in the car. Was like, wait a second.
No, you're not wrong. This is one of the movies that I would say going out of the end of the year that like met all of the marks. But we'll get into that conversation shortly. Yeah. Tone, how we feeling?
Just do the numbers now.
3.5.
Y'all have smoke from me.
No. Y'all have a blessed night. Tone, thank you for joining us. And
you go ahead, sign off.
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead.
You're a chain. Our people call your people, you know?
Right.
Just, we got a cardboard box for you. Just pack all your stuff up and
we'll have you.
Buddy.
We'll have you.
Hello, police.
Steve, what you got on me?
Call an ambulance, but not for me.
I have my reasons.
What a chance to see Stanley. No, I'm gonna give it. So along the similar vein, there was some stuff on the car ride home. I'm gonna give it a 4.9. Is you only lose a little smidge of a point, but I loved it all the way through. So I'm good. 4.9. How about you, Mike?
Okay, yeah. Going in line with everybody else, I give it, and it wasn't even for me. It wasn't the car ride home. It was like before the other cutscenes. I gave it a 4.95.
Okay. See, and you know what it was? I was going to do that. I was going to be Big Dan and be petty because I was like, why not be Big Dan?
He is the comic book connoisseur.
What I wanted to do
of
was,
sci-fi and
that too. Stop plugging Big Dan. This is not what this is. But now that I feel like everybody else came in here with that, I'm going to be honest about my score because it was a 4.75 for me.
Okay.
But I was like, that's closer to like a 5 than it is a 4.
Right.
So why cut corners? But
we all cutting corners.
No, we're all cutting corners. Yeah.
4 points.
Yeah.
So shit. It's
We're here now.
Yeah, 4.8.
I think overall our score probably definitely comes over a 4.5 for the overall.
I
mean, we got one
4.33.
We got one person who's like affecting the bell curve.
Yeah.
Grading on a scale.
You know, that's what happens.
Yeah.
You get that one person in the class that just messed up the whole curve for everybody.
I saw Ideal Tone's face. He was like, "Is that really how the math works out?"
I mean, I was crunching the numbers.
But
Crunching the numbers.
that concludes our spoiler-free portion.
That's it. That's all you
This
get.
will be time-stamped.
Yeah.
Everything after this moment, here, a new universe. This will be spoiler. If you don't want any more, close out this video. Go check our playlist. We got something else for you. Or, well, actually,
Check
go
out all the
follow
other people.
everybody else that's
Right.
here.
You got stuff. You got definitely hours.
You got a backlog now.
You possibly got days of content now because we just did a multiverse crossover event here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, go follow all those people, listen to their stuff, then come back to this. Because
Yeah.
it's pretty clear that you're not going to go see Spider-Man anytime soon.
We get it. You
Hit him with the crossover episode.
want to go on Christmas Eve with the family? We get it. Sure.
So,
Can I get into why I gave it a 4.8?
Yes.
well, one second.
Okay.
What I'd like to do is just make sure that this doesn't get too messy. Is allow the opportunity for everyone to justify their scores. You got 5 minutes.
Got you for 3 minutes.
I will be Big Dan and give Big Dan energy and cut you off and say thank you for your time. And then, so everybody
I
gets
appreciate
5
it.
minutes.
This was in the waiver I sent out also. Go ahead.
I'll bring up the rear with my explanation for my score, just because that's normally how we do things around here anyway. And we'll start with
I'll start off.
Jayhawk,
Yeah.
and then Sterling, then Jillian, Tone, Steve.
We're just going to keep the same rotation here.
Now, if you do have, because we do see you on camera, go ahead and raise your hand. If you have something that you want to just be petty about and jump in here and be like, I want to speak to this person specifically about their viewpoints, I will try my best to moderate that for everybody.
As the person with the lowest score, can I veto that? Like when someone raise their hand, can I say I don't want to respond?
You know what's going to happen is his video feed just going to keep cutting out, and he won't even know when he watches the video. He's just going to realize, it's like, hey, I'm not even in this episode.
It's like a technical difficulty
Right.
square. Like, I've done it before.
Don't test him.
All of a sudden, he's just going to, Dr. Strange's going to cast that spell. Nobody's going to remember Tones.
Yo, gonna have a room full of people waiting for him, and then he ain't never
And
gonna
Steve,
be
I
on
think
there.
you're muted. Do you know that you're muted?
Yeah, me and
Yeah.
Steve laugh really, really loud.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah, I keep muting myself too.
I try to mute myself when I'm not talking, so you just don't hear all like the sidebar one line. I don't want to complicate the end product. I make it easy to edit.
I appreciate you.
We appreciate it.
All right, so we get down and dirty with it. All right,
Yes.
so 4.8. I had some notes that I wrote. I think it was the next day. It can be argued that Spider-Man is such a big franchise because it gets treated with some of the most respect, especially with this newest MCU reiteration. I can't speak for Amazing Spider-Man because I didn't see it, but I didn't hear great things. So I said it doesn't seem like they'll have Tom Hardy, which is a bit disappointing, but they were smart with how Venom will still be in the universe with that end credit scene. Charlie Cox, ! Let's go. And I say that because I didn't know that he was going to be in it.
Oh, nice.
That was for me the biggest, I was about to stand up like, they're doing it.
They're doing the thing.
Yeah, they're doing the thing.
It's not a drill.
And because of that, I will say I think the biggest enemy to the MCU is the internet. Depending on how you feel about the movie experience, which is why I gave it a 4.8, because literally, and it's not like I go searching for these articles. They are just in the ether, right? Like, yeah, especially with what we all do.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just there. So like, I was very surprised when, I think Andrew Garfield is the first Spider-Man that shows up.
Yeah.
He shows up and like, he takes off his mask and like people in the crowd's like, oh yeah. I'm like, guys, like, we knew this. Like, this is why we're here. Like, we knew this. Like, it was just really weird for me. So because of that, going in, I told Laura, I was like, I pretty much knew like everything that was gonna happen. It was just watching it to see where they might be taking it, or like, but like everything that would have been a surprise, I knew already. So I don't. So for me, that's why it's a 4.8. I feel like if I would have gone in like completely blind, not knowing anything, I probably would have gave this a 5 because it was that good. I feel like, but because the internet is the internet, the day and times that we live in, I was like, I mean, I really appreciate the way they did this, but I knew everything that was going on. So 4.8.
Right. Hold on.
We'll
restart that clock because Josh kept it at about 2 minutes, so we appreciate you.
You have a clock? I didn't know there was a clock on.
Timer, dog. I'm not playing this game.
45 minutes.
Yo, I got a clock too. I'm timing people.
So, Sterling, go ahead.
Okay, so 5.0, I'm going to say why. 1, loved a lot of the fight sequences. 2, the humor was amazing. The scene where it's all 3 Spider-Men and they're just bantering back and forth. I think a lot of times, like in the past days, they would just go on too long. You know, where it's like, okay, yeah, for this, I just didn't want it to end, dude. It was just like, bam, 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 just hilarious. I think the power of this movie really leans into the memes. They like literally like, you know what people like? Memes. We're in it, you know? I also, so kind of in the inverse of what you have to say, and I'm gonna wrap up with this. There's so many times that when a big MCU thing is happening and they're like, this person was seen on set, this person was seen on set, Ryan Reynolds was seen on set, Miranda Cosgrove seen on set. Like it's just like who I just discount all of it. So I went in and then we had we had the WandaVision fake out with Mephisto. No, I'm sorry, we had the Loki fake out with Mephisto. We had the Quicksilver fake out with WandaVision. So I didn't really know what was going to happen. And then when we had the scene where Ned opens the portal and we see another Spider-Man, I was like, they're going to do the thing where like they just close the portal and it's like, I don't know who that guy was. But no, they just like followed through. It was actually what we thought we were going to get, and despite all the rumors. So I think the performances were great, and I really like this movie. I didn't feel the time at all. Like the pacing was great, and you know, I'm going to go on record on a recorded thing to think you should have just listened to Doctor Strange. How do you feel, Dan? What's going on?
Wait, hold on, real quick. I know that's your time or whatever, but quick rebuttal. I would say the best fight scene was when Doc Ock came. The big finale fight scene. There were too many people for it to be, I guess, like really, really good. And like when they were like, we got to coordinate and trust our tingle. Yeah. I thought I was going to see a lot more cool coordination between them. Yeah. But I think from an actual like fighting thing, I thought the one with Doc Ock, when Doc Ock first shows up, I thought that was like the best fight scene.
Bro, I just got to counter with this, and I'm going to be quick.
You got time?
Norman Osborn put this man through 3 floors of an apartment building.
5 floors.
3 floors, and that fight was just so. It was just heavy. Every single hit, I was like, ooh, that boy only 17 years old. Stop.
Sure. Is a child. I see that. I think for me, the fight scene with Doc Ock was cooler because you saw more. It seemed like he was doing his spider thing, right? Sure. Like it was a spider fight. But yeah, he was getting trashed in the.
And even the last, the slugfest between them at the end, like it was just so much like web bring me to face. It's like, ooh, that's. Pete, don't do that. Stop, Peter. We don't do that here. But 5.0, lots to love about this movie. We actually, all the rumors came to pass, so that's wild. And I think you should have listened to Doctor Strange from the beginning. However y'all feel about that, put it in the comments. But Big Dan.
Oh, no. I'm going at the end.
End. Okay, well,
I gotta hear why Tone feels the way he does. You know, I feel like I gotta go sit through that movie first before I can actually get. So, Jillian, by all means.
Can I just say one thing to Sterling before I start? It's never Mephisto.
It's never gonna be Mephisto.
It's never, because people thought that lady, the kind of mean housewife in WandaVision, was Mephisto for a second. They thought like the bug in the corner of the room that Agatha fed to her rabbit was Mephisto. And then I forget who they thought was Mephisto and Loki. Like I just can't even. Like everybody was Mephisto and nobody
Sylvia
was.
It was Sylvia, I think.
It's true.
Oh.
But here's the problem,
I
and
guess.
I'll address that really quickly,
Real quick.
so that way we don't talk about Mephisto anymore here.
Oh, we're talking.
We're probably still going to talk about Mephisto, but Mephisto will likely not show up in the MCU because no one wants to beautify the devil. That's what.
Oh, right.
Like-
This is a family-friendly army go rah rah Disney.
We might get Blackheart before Blade and Dracula,
Oh, yeah,
but you're
maybe.
not going to go any further than that. That's
Oh, yeah.
probably why they stayed away from like
Wait, is
Ghost Rider and
Mephisto's like hot or something?
all that. He's a version of the devil.
He's conventionally attractive.
Yeah, and otherworldly.
Oh no, he's hot.
But hold on, like, is he still like evil though? Like, cause he
Mephisto is a
yeah.
he's a red version of he's every way he's the way that people describe the devil on most platforms.
oh,
Red, you know.
but it's like if he's
you know.
evil, he can still be a bad. You can have a sexy bad guy.
All right, moving on, Jillian.
Both things can be true at the same time.
Why not both?
Oh, yeah. Okay, all right. So mine was 4.8, and so, okay, the first thing, I saw this on Thursday, so everybody in the theater was pretty hype when Charlie Cox came out. I started it with Matthew! I was so excited. But anyway, I really loved the battle between Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. It's just really because I forgot how arrogant Stephen Strange is. Like, I kind of get that, that you want Peter to listen to Strange, but he was the one who suggested the spell in the first place, and then, like, later was like, oh, you didn't even talk to them? It's like, why don't you say that first, adult? He was the one who suggested the spell in the first place, and then even Wong was like, just leave me out of it, but basically turning a blind eye to Steven. Like, I always thought he was so arrogant to be just kind of handed Sorcerer Supreme in the first movie, because I felt like he hadn't really earned it, and this kind of, like, proves why to me, because he's, like, pretty arrogant. But that's another podcast for another time.
Click here for that link.
She gonna add Stephen Strange.
Right.
You know, I love Stephen Strange, but, like, in this movie, he just, like, kind of reminded me. I was like, oh yeah, he's actually really arrogant. And that battle scene where Spider-Man, like, outwits him, and because he's a kid, so Steven was probably like, he's gonna be really easy because I have magic, and he's just like, whatever. But Peter, like, using, like, 10th grade geometry to beat Stephen Strange was so good. And then, you know, what?
I said, are you smarter than a 10th grader?
No, he's not. And, like, the Willem Dafoe of it all was just brilliant. I mean, on our podcast, we were kind of, like, we said, what's his name? Oh, shoot. Who played the Joker?
Heath Ledger.
His name!
Not
Jared
Heath Ledger.
Leto?
Yeah, no, the newest
no.
one. Joaquin
With-
Phoenix. Joaquin?
No, with
Peter
yes!
Romero.
Jack Nicholson?
Yes.
We named every
Jack Nicholson or Willem Dafoe. I mean, that should just prove it. Like, we all said Willem Dafoe. So, that should just...
That's a callback. Thank you. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a callback. I was just so excited because, like, I kind of knew in the back of my mind, because I've seen things on my feed about it, but I've kind of, like, tried to ignore it, and, like, oh, well, the Spider-Man will come, and I'm like, this is great, I'm excited, but I, like, kind of, like, kind of put that out of my mind because I wanted to feel that excitement when I was in the theater. And I'm glad I did, because I knew they were coming, but I didn't know when, but I was still, like, just as excited. But, like, all this stuff about, like, because, like I was saying with Mephisto, everybody thinks, like, Mephisto is everywhere, which is annoying, so I kind of treated it like that, at the rumors. But, yeah, it's hard because everybody is everywhere and there's like literally drones in the sky taking pictures of them filming. But that didn't ruin any excitement I had for the movie. Oh, I also wanted them to use Venom a little bit, and I wanted them to use Charlie Cox a little bit more. Like, I was kind of hoping he would show up in the final battle, but it's fine. He was there. It was fine. How much time do I have left?
4, 3, 2, 1. Good job, you caught it.
You caught it.
I want to say one thing.
Good internal clock.
Right. I think the reason that Strange did not come up with calling the people first is because he expected Peter to have be an adult.
Yeah, but I feel like I still would have asked, "Oh, did you call them first?" Like, and this is the last thing. Because it's such a heavy spell. Why wouldn't you do your due diligence? And he's a doctor. Why doesn't he ask him? Like, you ask the people the symptoms. Like, why don't you get all the facts before you treat
He's
something?
also an American doctor.
On the same wavelength, though, like, I have other friends who are medical professionals, and like they would say like, yeah, he's a doctor, so that's why he made that mistake.
Oh,
Because it's like the way that some folks talk is like, oh yeah, when you walk into the room, you expect that everybody's done everything that they supposed to, and if they come into you, because that's the next step. Not that like, oh yeah, we forgot to take his blood pressure. You supposed to do that. Like, you kind of expect like, oh, obviously you're coming to me because I'm the last resort.
Right, but
not the
I'm
first
not
one.
taking my blood pressure. It's not like a nurse is. It's still somebody
Yeah,
else.
yeah. But like for the doctor, they assume that like not you, the patient, but like the other people, the medical professionals have done their thing, and that they're walking in the room because it's time for them to walk in the room. But like Peter's like, oh, my first impulse is like, Doctor Strange can solve this problem rather than call the administration's office.
But he's a 17-year-old kid, is the thing.
Exactly.
And like people I know who are younger, like it's live and you learn kind of thing. They're not always gonna think because they don't know. Like even I got rejected from some colleges. I didn't even know that you could call people to say I want to contest this. Like I think I would be a really good candidate. I got into my dream school though, so.
Hey, let's go. Oh, swag out on him. Oh.
All right.
It's time.
I don't even know if we should have the bull on here.
We should. We need people to speak.
You need differences of opinions.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't. That's not the type of time I'm on.
You know what? I mean, look. Before you start the 5-minute clock, I just want to say I think Dan is holding some personal grudges still. So that's why he's saying all this. I think in the back of his head, he's still holding a personal grudge towards me, but that's okay.
I don't think so, because it's not like we would play a video game and then be upset about the outcome 8 months later. That'd be silly. But please continue.
This is Big Dan we're talking about. But
no, Big Dan, give everybody 24 hours. That's it.
24 hours. I'm not gonna hold on to that much longer. But go ahead.
Right.
I'm starting the clock.
Got it.
He started your clock 40 seconds ago.
All right. If I had to be completely honest, I did. Yes, I said 3.5. If I had to be a little more lenient, I give it a 4. But I said if. But to be honest with you, it was a good movie. I really did enjoy it. It was thorough. The story was not. The story didn't take too long, and I didn't feel like I was sitting there for hours. Okay, it was entertaining, especially the fight scenes and everything like that. But what made me say 3.5 was the sheer amount of unnecessary thought process and I'm gonna just go out and say it, stupidity from some of the characters, especially like Jillian was saying, some of the adults as well. Like it irritated me. Like I said, Stephen Strange being he already is arrogant and everything, but yeah, I feel like he could have asked that question, are you sure this is what you want to do? Like, thoroughly talk to the young man before just going ahead and doing this spell. Okay. Aunt May, she really irritated me with the whole let's save the villains who don't want to be saved.
Bro, you can't. It's too
Don't
soon.
save her. She don't want to be saved. Don't.
It's too soon, bro.
And what? It's too soon? I don't think it's too
Well,
soon.
I mean, technically, what's his name? Doc Ock did want to be saved, but he didn't realize it until his mind was clear. I'll give her that.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
That was a fair one.
But what stimulated her wanting to save them was from Green Goblin himself, who was acting the whole time. We could tell that. Like, or at least that's the vibe I got. I felt like Green Goblin took over by the time he got to the shelter and knew, or like the underground, and knew what was going on. Something just didn't feel right about the way, like he didn't feel like he was Norman Osborn at that point. Like Green Goblin took back over, and then
real quick, I have a point there, but I'll come back to it after your 5 minutes are up.
Okay.
I'm going
And
to
then
take 3 seconds to tell you 5 minutes. I'm going to come back.
And then Electro, he genuinely didn't want it. He was don't get me wrong, power crazy, literally like energy crazy, and the arc reactor, like, you know, that definitely threw him over the edge. But my man's didn't want it. In all honesty, he didn't. And if I had to say anyone who really was justified in what they were doing because they just genuinely wanted to go home, was Sandman. He didn't care whether he was saved or cured or not. He just wanted to go home and see his child. At that point, like, and don't get me wrong, I understand, but at that point, like, these weren't Peter's villains. They were the other Peter's villains. And why are we saving someone who eventually, at this point, if we're just like adding them to the MCU, or if we're not adding to the MCU, which we didn't, why are we saving someone who eventually might be passing away anyway, or already have? As you see down the line, like, they were pulled from different timelines, from the different universes, where, like, you got something to say?
No, I'm fine. Sterling looked at me, waiting for me to say something, and I'm good.
So we got and then, like, they're pulled from different universes. In their minds, they're already all dead to each other. Like, it's so at the same time, for that to be said, when you think about it, we not just changed the timeline in multiple universes. We don't know what, like, if you go back in time and you step on a butterfly, which, you know, this is the theory of time travel anyway. You change the course of history. What would have happened? What would have happened now that we saved them? Like, did we save them for the better good, or did we save them for the worse?
You're asking too many questions, homeboy.
Are we doing rebuttals?
We're gonna.
I think we should let everybody exhaust their 5 minutes, and then if we want to jump in.
Jillian, just take
But
your time.
also-
Charge
Okay,
your level
but
3.
Also, Josh is like,
I'm just listening. I'm just listening.
I just think it's funny how.
So yeah, you got 30 more seconds here, Tone.
All right, that's fine. And like I said, that's just the way it made me feel. It upset me at just some of the like this. I'm gonna just say this, the stupidity in it, and that's why I would say 3.5. But other than that, like, the fighting, the story, the action, the general, like, way it panned out was perfect. It was just that aspect. Like, I felt like it wasn't genuinely all the way thought through like they should have.
Okay. All right. That's an opinion. All right.
We got rebuttals, or we move on?
I'll only add one thing because I want to keep it short, because I know we got a bunch of stuff that we probably want to talk about. I will say the bit about who was in control of Norman's body. The way there was one particular phrase that the Goblin says, and I'll refer to them based on, I think, who I think is in control at the time, between Norman and the Goblin. Where when he's talking about to Peter about, like, him seeing like Aunt May and him and like the stuff that they're doing and whatever. He said it like the effect of he was watching through like Norman's like doe eyes or whatever, or like glazed over gaze or whatever. Which if for folks who happen to be familiar with I'm not sure what the appropriate term is. It's been called split personality. It's been called dissociative personality. I believe I don't know what if it's still called multiple personality disorder or whatever.
So he doesn't have DID.
That's been confirmed.
He's more so bipolar. Bipolar schizophrenia would be his.
Okay. But to a lay person who doesn't necessarily can't necessarily discern the difference, my perception was that in that moment he's like, I'm not in control, but I can still view everything that's happening. So he sees Norman like freaked out and like he's confused and he doesn't know where he is, like spatially or temporally, and like he doesn't understand what's going on, and he's like he's like looking at Norman as like this pathetic shell of a person who has the same power he has but like can't wield it. So in that moment, like particularly when he's like talking to Aunt May and like he's getting helped, like I viewed it as like that's really Norman Osborn. That's not the Goblin.
Okay.
He was just patiently waiting for a track to explode on.
When he was being helped at the shelter.
Yeah.
I agree with that, yeah.
All right, Steve, you want to continue to talk?
Yeah. So I took some notes so I could try to keep it as terse as possible once I find them. And let me hit the timer so I'll be aware of my 5. I'm starting right now.
Don't even worry about it. I already started you.
Okay, cool.
That's 12 seconds on the clock.
Well, I'll be aware of how much time I got. So overall, like I love the experience. Like this is probably like one of the films that I started like tearing up multiple times throughout the film, and I'm just like it was like some moments were really really small. The shortest one I can remember was when tall Spider-Man, what's his name? Andrew Garfield Spider-Man has the opportunity and he goes and he saves I just call him Tall Spidey. He goes and he saves Mary Jane, and I'm like, and the moment that it happens and he they show him like turn his head, I'm like, he knows what to do. And like because he's lived through it before, and like he starts to tear up like after he saves Mary Jane, and it was like probably like 3 seconds I could feel the water making their way to my eye, and I'm like, yo, like he's redeemed. For me, I like enjoyed the portrayal of the spider sense in like coming into effect in the presence of the Sinister Six, where like Peter walks out and he's in a room surrounded by villains like who have wanted to kill Spider-Man in one form or the other, and he's like looking around the room like he's like something is wrong, but like Spider Sense ain't that specific, and he's just like something like one of these people is a threat, and he like correctly figures out that it's Norman Osborn and does his thing. I love the portrayal of that and like the intensity of the scene, because he's like literally surrounded by possible danger and he's able to figure out like where it's coming from. I really enjoyed the fight scenes and the choreography. I like the little breakdown of like Sterling, you mentioned like you just didn't want their banter to stop. Like it all felt really good, and I loved the moment where I knew it was going to happen in the film, that they figure out that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man generates his organic web, and I just love that back and forth was glorious, and I'm glad that they did it, and I like the amount of banter that they were able to have, because I'm like, you can't have Spider-Man, the quippiest motherfucker in the whole universe, not banter off of each other while they're doing their whole thing. Like that was wonderful.
Come out of anywhere else?
Yeah, right. Yeah, like there's that whole joke. Oh man, but like I really enjoyed like the whole presentation, like beginning to end. There were like so many like little moments that everybody got to have and experience. I liked Tobey Maguire's portrayal of like he's the eldest Spider-Man, like he's been doing it for the longest time, and so like he's like the most chill with everything that's been going on. Like he's like, oh yeah, like I'm like, even towards the very end when like he stops what's the most recent Tom Holland Spider-Man from killing Norman. He's like, you want to right now, but you're not gonna want to. And he gets stabbed. And I thought they were gonna do like, you're gonna kill Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, probably because he was like, I swear, if y'all ask me to put this suit on one more time, like I was worried they were gonna do that, but they didn't. And it was like, okay, like it was like he was like, okay, it's like, yeah, I've been stabbed before, it's cool. He's like, I've been Spider-Man for a long, long time. Like it's okay, but it was like a bunch of like little moments like that that came together. For me, I didn't know for certain that they were gonna do all the Spider-Men together, so like it pushed my surprise rating higher because I was like Andrew Garfield been going around like they're like, I'm not in this movie, like don't be real excited when you go to see it, and like I'm not there, like I don't want you to be disappointed. And so like I heard that early on, and I kind of put it on the shelf, and I tried to like not pay close attention to spoiler type stuff with the drones and images of who's on set and whatnot. So like I was able to preserve a lot of that that excitement and joy coming in. Like when you mentioned Sterling, that like they have Wong, not Wong, what's his name, Ned open the door. And it's like, Spider-Man comes through, and I'm like, the moment he showed up, I'm like, that Spider-Man's too tall. I'm like, that Spider-Man's too tall. I was hype. Like, I enjoyed the movie like beginning to end. There was some dumb stuff. Like, you could add rules to the spell when you was doing it the first time, but you couldn't do it the second time.
Well, he was on
It's like I'm.
crunch.
Yeah, I was
It's
like, you
it's
The
shouldn't
sky
make
was literally ripping.
Yeah, it's like
right?
suspension of disbelief. I understand. He said the dudes is at the door, and it's like they coming through right now. It's like I need to do this right the first time. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna let it go. There's some dumb stuff in there, but I enjoyed the whole thing. Like, top to bottom, I had a good time.
I have a real quick thing to say. The moment you were talking about with his when he was doing the Spidey tingle with all of the enemies,
cool.
I thought what that was like an ultra instinct of like he reached the next level of the Spidey tingle. I thought he like leaned into it, not like he himself figured it out, but he was like, I just have to like really like go deeper into the tingle because like you said, there is so many threats. So like, where is it really coming from? What's really happening? So I thought he really actually like leaned into it, and like I don't think he'll be able to do that like all the time. I think it was like in that like specific scenario that he was able to do that. But I agree that was really cool.
Yeah, and before we get to
Yeah,
really quick, to answer that portion of the question, I guess, his Spidey sense only works in direct effect of him, danger to him.
Right.
So he didn't know where it was coming from, but at the same time, like he's still also being hyper aware of Aunt May being in the room. Like, so that's the reason why his spider sense is never really accurate unless you see a missile flying at you directly, right? So
Yeah.
because he's always also hyper aware of protecting other people when that happens, and so it's always like he can't pinpoint it. So
My understanding has been it's like you said, he can't pinpoint it. It's like a perception of some danger. If you played the most recent the big Spider-Man game, like the scene, spoilers for that, the scene where the bombing happens, like he has like that Peter Parker has the same kind of spider sense effect where he's like, oh shit, like there's danger around, but I don't know what's about to happen, and it's coming from multiple areas at once, and he's like overwhelmed with his like spider sense, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And like it was like that kind of moment, like, yo, I love the parallel between that portrayal of like there's danger around, but like but where and the answer is like for Tom Holland Spider-Man, the answer is pretty much every fucking where, because you in a room full of the Sinister Six, my boy.
Also, super short, and before we get to Mike, and just talking about Spidey sense, the astral projection scene, which I definitely wanted more of.
I was like,
That was cool.
You can see the table.
wiggles.
Yeah,
It was really cool. I really loved
That
it.
was
how
cool.
are you?
It was really cool.
He's like, you shouldn't be able to do this. He was like, huh.
He was like, that was really cool, but don't ever do that again. I was like, is he about to swing with Strange? Was he really about to square up?
and sure did.
Mike check. Mike check.
Oh man.
Okay, so I want to add about Doctor Strange and the whole Peter asking him if he bothered to call admissions, in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, an adult should do that. And it's interesting you guys said that. But then I sat and I realized where I was at and what I was watching and the history that these two have. They got snapped out of existence. The last thing they're thinking about is, hey, what would regular people do in this situation? They fought Grimace with a purple glove. I don't think they were thinking like, hey, you know, let's handle this in the real world situation. Let's handle it in our situation. And yes, Doctor Strange's arrogance, he may be a doctor, but unlike Peter and Tony, he's not a scientist. So he just went off of, all right, well, look, this is what they came to me to. They came to me like this before. I'm going to do it, you know, the same way I'd have done it when Tony came. With all that aside, one, I'm going to die on this hill and y'all can crucify me. My favorite Spider-Man was Andrew Garfield. So, even knowing that he was going to be in the movie, yes, I'm going to die on this hill. That's why it's the unapologetic mic check. I have no regrets. But I knew he was going to be in the movie. Like, I stayed away from the internet with this movie on purpose. I was like, I know Andrew Garfield's going to downplay it, given the history of his movie and Sony and everything else. I was like, I know he's going to downplay it. I said, but the shit show that's going to occur if all three of them aren't in this movie, opening weekend will be your best and only weekend if you don't have those three Spider-Men in this movie. So when I saw Ned open that portal, I looked at the color scheme of the outfit and I grabbed my fiance's leg. I was like, oh. When he came through the portal, I was the first, you know, everybody clapped or whatever. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. And then everybody else started cheering. That being said, I was hyped the whole time. I was completely starstruck. I was just like, it was like a sigh of relief for me. And my like 4.95 came because two things. When he first had that, when his spider sense went off, I didn't, you know, for me, I thought he sensed it coming from a distance. And when I thought it was coming from a distance, you know who I thought it was? Ooh. I thought it was Venom.
Oh.
I thought it was Venom.
That would have been fresh, yo.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, is that Venom? Because in my mind, at the end of Venom 2, I'm like, oh, bet he gonna be in Spider-Man No Way Home. This is the hidden gem that they're not gonna tell anybody. So my 4.95 came because Venom was in it.
Oh wait, no,
fucking in.
But it wouldn't have worked because Spider-Man's. Oh wait, no, that would be okay. Never mind. Nah, you right. Never mind.
Like I'm sitting and I'm like, all right. So I'm like, all right, when's Venom coming? I know Venom's coming. Spider sense went off and he's looking around, and like, you can hear, like, you know, all the motion and the blood going because he's paying attention. I'm like, yo, Venom's about to bust through the wall and it's going to be hell to pay. Nope. It was the Green Goblin. Mind you, loved Green Goblin. Loved the fight scene. The fact that this motherfucker spine busted 17-year-old Spider-Man through like 4 floors. And then he let off the gas and let him punch on him. I thought did anybody else play in their mind him going, impressive? Like, when he was first fighting Spider-Man, I thought he was going to say that. That's what went off in my mind. I'm like, yo, he's looking at Spider-Man like, yeah, this is cool, but watch what I'm about to do to your ass next. So, the 4.95...
Sorry.
Wait, do you gotta go pick up Leah?
Actually, I don't because she missed her flight this morning.
Oh,
so that's actually for tomorrow.
So, you know, that's, for me, that's where the 4.95 came from. I was like super expecting Venom to make his entrance, especially because of how, like, he licked the fucking TV at the end of Venom 2. Like, metaphorically, if Venom had a dick, it was hard for Spider-Man at that point. Like,
I mean,
may I also
that's
add
usually
something?
how Venom is, though.
Jillian.
Okay. I don't want to take up your time, though.
Oh no, his time's up.
Yeah.
Ah, well then. Are we going to discuss, so, speaking about the Spidey sense, in the, Into the Spider-Verse with Miles, they had the Spidey sense when other Spider people were around, so I thought that was going to be the point when the other two swung in. But, do I have to be the one to say this?
Depends on what you're about to say.
The plot was essentially the same as Into the Spider-Verse.
It was similar, yeah.
Some fine points, I think, was kind of similar. And then they kind of gave Miles a shout at the end. Sort of.
Not really.
It's got to be a Black Spider-Man somewhere.
But it was kind of sort of the same, like, I copy my homework but make it different kind of thing.
You're right.
Hold on. I think that's
it. Okay.
But I just wanted to counter something, Mike. I was literally, when I watched Venom 2 and I got to that end scene, when I watched Venom 2 the first time, I was remembering how much money I paid for that movie, right? And then I got that end scene and I was like, okay, cool. This is it. This is all I needed. But the problem is, like, even with the Sinister Six that we got, like, Sandman was just kind of there, just like, yeah, I'm here. And then Connors was also just like, yeah, I'm here. So Venom being such a character and would have taken up the space, because, like, Osborn was still, like, he was pretty much the big bad of the movie, right? Yeah. So then we couldn't have, like, Venom incontesting or taking from that, and when already, like, Connors and
Venom is going to be
like,
that's a solo film between.
Yeah.
I will say, though, what's different is that I think Venom and Tom Hardy, like, if they're like those two characters, they themselves, if they would have actually shown them to the movie, that would have been too much.
It would have, yeah.
I agree.
Now, if you just have, like, just Venom,
it had to be like 3 hours.
So to jump in on that point, so the similar criticism that this movie would have gotten if you threw Venom into a Sinister Six film, because this is effectively what we got with that. It's quote unquote Sinister Six film. You would have had the same criticism that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3 got, which was there's too many villains. You have the Green Goblin / Hobgoblin and the Sandman and Venom, and, like, Venom and if I recall, Sam Raimi didn't have the same, like, affection for Venom that a lot of fans have, where he viewed him as, like, Venom is one of Spider-Man's many villains, but for a lot of people, Venom is, like, the Spider-Man villain. Like, it's like Spider-Man and Venom, and they're boom, like this. Like, that's the highest echelon of Spider-Man villain. Like we know, like, there's a whole, menagerie of enemies that are there. But, like, for the fans in any case, like, if you do a Spider-Man and Venom film, like, it's gotta be just Spider-Man and Venom, and there can be other people who show up that help or cameo or do whatever, or however you want to describe it, but it's got to be a Spider-Man and Venom film. And I think if you would have thrown in another villain, like, out of the blue, I think like you said already, like, it would have been a little bit too much for this film, and you probably would have got the same criticism that Spider-Man 3 had gotten.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But then why would you just edge me like that?
I don't like it.
I got two things.
Mm-hmm.
One,
hopefully I'll be able to go after that.
Oh yes.
Yeah, my bad.
One,
I've been patiently waiting and I've been holding in a lot of things. I'm
worried.
trying.
It's gonna be very quick.
I'm trying.
The Andrew Garfield thing, where he's, like, on the ceiling,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, she's like, crawl across. He's like, I mean, this is pretty good. He's like, it's not good. And then Grandma's like, but I mean, if you up there, you might as well.
While you up there.
That was great.
He was like, okay, and then he, like, crawls over it. That was really funny. And I'm really, I already said this actually. I'm disappointed that Tom Hardy's not going to be. It looks like Tom Hardy is not going to be the Venom because they have Flash Thompson, the
Yeah.
Indian guy, which honestly, I don't see him being a great. Okay,
I'll come back to that. I'll take notes.
Oh, that was for me.
Oh
Thank
yeah.
you. All right, I guess bringing up the rear here, I'll start my 5 minutes just to make sure I'm on par with everybody.
He's fair. He's fair.
So a few things. I think a few things that people may not have caught because you guys already pretty much talked about everything else that happened in this movie. Number one, Ned Leeds. That's a big name. That is an important name for the Spider-Man menagerie of villains. And I don't know if people caught it, but Ned was like,
I'll never
hurt you. And I'm like, boy, your name is Ned Leeds. You are. At least in a different, some universe. Because you're straight up Hobgoblin.
Yeah, they went hard on that. He said it like a couple times, I think.
Yeah.
They went really
Yeah, he
hard
did.
on that. Yeah. I was like, something's up.
Right. So
He's like, I promise I won't become your villain.
Right. I promise I won't become one of your villains. And I was like, but you will, though.
I thought that was just like fun. I thought that was just fun humor.
Yeah, no. I mean, they leaned into it enough for you, like, the Spider-Man fans to know. Another thing I thought,
Michelle Jones.
Michelle Jones. She's Watson, MJ Watson in name only. She delivered a better love interest than the other Spider-Man movies did. Hear me out. One, while she was very much like on par with how the other Spider-Man love interests have been, she also was like, nah, you're not going to keep me out this fight. Like Kirsten Dunst was like, all right, cool, you keeping me safe? I'll be over here. Kidnapped. Gwen Stacy was like, you want to keep me out of this? Even though my dad's a cop? Kidnapped. So this MJ was like, I'm going to get kidnapped, but it's going to be on my own volition. And so...
pull up on me.
Right.
Pull up on me.
Fight back.
If I'm a kid kidnapped, I'm
Right.
gonna do it.
I love how they were like, the villains were like, there's no way she's his girlfriend.
That was
All
hilarious.
the
Yeah,
other
that was good.
ones- yeah.
That was so
What?
great.
What?
There's no way she's his girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
That was a great line.
Yeah, was that from Doc Croc?
I think it was Connors, yeah.
Connors.
Yeah,
Connors,
Connors.
They pulled some major Spider-Man storylines for this. They did Brand New Day. They did One More Day. Those are like two of the
Next
worst.
Friday?
Those are those are some of the worst Spider-Man storylines in the comic book universe.
Oh.
One, because Spider-Man does make a deal with Mephisto to get everybody to get him forgotten, but they were like, let's use Doctor Strange instead. Which and then Brand New Day was another time when Peter Parker actually does go to Strange and makes everyone forget. Aunt May dying, that was a thing.
That's another poll.
Been a thing.
That's another poll.
Yeah. Aunt May has died too many times. I'm feeling like she's like, you know what, just leave me here. I feel like you keep bringing me back for what purpose?
To die.
Right.
I got my toaster. Okay.
To piggyback on what everyone else has said, I love the banter. I walking out of the theater, I told my wife, I was like, no matter how this happens, I'm going to own this so that I can watch it as many times as I want. This is for me. This is now the number one MCU movie.
I had a big question for the whole room, but go ahead.
100%.
The reason being is because of all of the liberties that they were able to take with this movie. Winter Soldier, still a great film,
Undoubtedly.
but this was just by itself a great superhero movie.
Okay. Strong.
I understand how you could take issues with the way the story is written, but you also have to understand that the audience is so broad. That these are people who have watched, you've read Spider-Man comics from the 60s, and now kids watch, Amazing Spider-Man Friends, Spidey Friends. So you're like, you got to bridge all of those gaps, and I understand that the line of thinking is not clear. Last point before my time is up, because apparently 5 minutes goes by really fast when you have a lot of stuff to say.
It sure does.
There was some plot holes. that I had issues with.
I would like to hear more. Of this.
One particular was
There were.
Electro knowing Spider-Man's identity because he didn't in Amazing
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. I was confused about that too.
Flint Marko does not die per se at the end of his, so he could have been sent back with no problem. Which is why he was like indifferent. And then, while I understand every Spider-Man has experienced a death very close in
Did
proximity.
he pause the
of him.
clock?
I did, because it's almost over. Like, I don't want the time to go over. And then rebuttal, while everyone gets a death, I think they did a very soft reboot with Peter Parker for the MCU, because Sony was like, we got 3 more movies. And Tom Holland's like, I want a break. And they're like, but you can't. So we'll see what they do. Honestly, I don't know. If anything, I would still argue that between what is this, No Way Home and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is still a better movie.
Oh yeah,
just a little bit. That's an all-time favorite for me, and it's only because they don't miss. And when you do multiverse stories, there's almost no repercussions. This one actually had one.
Yeah,
but and time travel, they cured everybody. Everybody's happy except for Spider-Man.
Everybody happy.
Yeah, go ahead. Everybody got rebuttals. Lord.
Who?
Yeah, no, it's more of an agreement.
It's the opposite of a rebuttal.
That whole Electro thing kind of threw me through a loop.
Yeah.
That threw me. Yeah, their banter.
I was like, I can't stay too hung up on it, because I was like, this is going to ruin the movie for me, on top of the people that were on their phones in a 3D movie. But that's a different episode for a different day.
I guess it's because the issue is, he said everybody who knows Peter Parker
Is Spider-Man.
Right. He
but
died, though.
But like, I feel like for him, it's for the Electro thing. It's like everybody who kind of like knew Spider-Man to a certain degree.
Nah, he said Peter Parker. He said who knew me as Peter Parker before this happened.
Yeah.
So that means, I'm like, what scene did we miss?
Right.
We all watched that movie.
Well, okay, except Josh. Well, okay, right? So Electro did become energy, right?
We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
And
here.
Connors knew,
Unless that comes out,
Right?
unless that is a statement made by the MCU and Kevin Feige, I'm not taking that.
Okay.
So
Next question. I'm really excited to ask everybody this. Wait, Steve, you got
Wait, I had a quick not rebuttal, but just extra comments. So I agree with a whole bunch of stuff that you said. Two points that I've notes that I have written here. I can't remember when they came up, but not having Tom Hardy as Venom. I feel like it probably works better to have someone else become Venom, because Tom Hardy Venom doesn't hate Spider-Man. Like, he's like hardly aware of him, and I feel like for people who are big fans of Venom, like the hate, like the driven hate, shared hatred that the Venom symbiote and Eddie Brock have as Venom for Peter Parker Spider-Man is like one of the biggest motivators of why he's such a big villain.
it's actually
of
the reason
like,
why their symbiosis works.
Exactly. And it's like part of it is because like we sync together so well. So not having a Venom that just like, oh yo, what's up, Spider Dude? You seem pretty cool and you're doing hero stuff. I'm the Lethal Protector. How about we like team up and do some stuff? Like, that's cool and all, but like
That's not what people come to see.
Yeah, like I want the Venom that's like, Venom is like, he loses his job at the Daily Planet, he gets into bodybuilding, he gets the Venom symbiote, and he's like, yo, I know who Spider-Man is, and it's Peter Parker. Yo, it's on sight. Like, that's the Venom I want. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
But it's not.
that's
gonna
why they
be-
left the symbiote behind.
He's only going to be.
Are they going
And-
to age him up, or are they going to like
No.
do the whole Will Poulter
What's
thing
going to
and
happen is he's
hit the
going
gym?
to be a villain very briefly, because the Flash Thompson of the comic books turns out to end up being a Venom hero.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
Venom.
So
Yeah, does he become anti-Venom?
Yeah,
Yeah.
anti-Venom.
well, Eddie Brock becomes anti-Venom, and then Flash Thompson becomes anti-Venom. But that's a whole nother episode for another day.
Yeah. I had one other comment, which was about Doctor Strange, which was about like him being, somewhat incompetent. This is the same Doctor Strange who, in a slightly different universe, destroyed the whole last universe because of how arrogant he was. So let's remember
This
that.
is true.
If he was,
That's
if
his
he's
kryptonite.
1% more arrogant and was like, you know what? Nah, I got this. Like, he would have destroyed the whole last place. So just remember
That
that.
is essentially it.
Yeah, but that's often that's Doctor Strange's kryptonite, and I was explaining that to my wife because she doesn't always read the comic books, and that's her prerogative. But Doctor Strange, his hubris is his kryptonite. Huh?
I said this is a
It's
recorded
like Josh is like.
She knows.
Okay.
She does other things in her free time.
If you feel safe, I feel safe.
I don't feel.
Yeah. Anyway, to explain the Doctor Strange portion, not about my wife,
Who is not Doctor Strange?
who is not Doctor Strange. He's often feels like he knows everything because he experiences things differently than everybody else does. He sees magic through the world when everybody else is like going blind to it, or like their third eye is not open. So, he's a doctor, so he experiments, and he's kind of just like, he takes things on the nose, and he's like, maybe this will work, maybe it won't, right? But he's like, I also can do things as far as magic is concerned in the background, and no one will ever know.
Yeah.
You may be entitled for some compensation.
You know what bothered me? Because I was real like bothered about the whole consent thing. He's like, you remember that party with Wong?
Yeah.
And Wong was like, no. He's like, exactly.
Exactly.
I was like, what does Doctor Strange be doing out here? Because
It was just a wild party.
no, like that made me really concerned that Doctor Strange just be out here not PC. He'd
Nah,
just be like,
he's fine.
he'd be like, you remember this? Nope.
Do you remember the memories?
Right.
Nah.
He's like, you remember that time I hit on that girl, got her number, and then never called her back? No, you don't. Like, there's problems with that.
It's like, what else don't we remember, Doctor Strange? What else don't we remember?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's why he winked at him.
Big question to the group.
Okay, is this going to be our final question? Because we are nearing the end of the episode.
Yes. The power of the MCU, I think it's safe to say, the MCU has changed how we approach media, like when it comes to these just adaptations and what people are looking for. So the hype train for Infinity War was almost unparalleled. If I'm bugging, tell me I'm bugging. But I think the hype train for No Way Home was comparable. I would like everybody's thoughts. And do you feel like it met or surpassed?
You got 30 seconds.
Jillian, oh wait, no, I'm sorry.
No, I think we should. Well, okay, I'll go.
Yes.
I'll go. You go. Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like.
Jeez.
No.
Oh man.
I feel like that the hype for Infinity War and Endgame, if we're gonna put them together, I feel like that was greater, because we thought that was like, oh, this is it. This is like the culmination of everything. This is the final chapter.
Which it was.
It was the final chapter to that book, sure. But or not even. I would say it was the final episode to that arc.
Sure.
But I think with Spider-Man No Way Home, at least for me personally, from my experience, there was so much digging. Like, I don't know if I want to call it hype, but they were just like, people were excited for it, but they were so excited that I feel like it was almost a detriment because of all the digging and all of the sleuthing and, oh, I got to figure this out, and
drones.
I need to know what the MCU's doing, and I'm going to tell everybody about it on YouTube.
All right, time.
Thank you. I think the hype, unfortunately, is second to Infinity War, but I will say it's a strong second. Like, there is no other contest, right? Now, for me personally, I like this way more than Endgame, but that's it.
Yeah, I guess I'll answer really quick. I would say the hype is different, and the reason why it's different is because you are getting fans who also watch the Sam Raimi and the Amazing Spider-Man who may not participate in the MCU as a whole. And Spider-Man itself is a household name.
For sure.
So it predates the MCU sometimes, and so sometimes there's just fans who go to see Spider-Man movies and don't watch anything else. And the internet, yes, was a detriment. However, at the same time, it supports the hype. I don't think it's a detriment to fans, but not necessarily a detriment to, people.
All the people. Jillian.
Okay, so I actually think it was a little bit more because we did have Infinity War first. Then we see what the MCU can do, so I think it's hard to compare the two. Because also like the chokehold that nostalgia content has on America, like we've got. I actually liked all of the Spider-Men, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield. I didn't understand why people didn't like him, but I thought he was fine. But I do recognize Tom Holland as my favorite. But just having all the like the nostalgia and like people saying like we can't have this Spider-Man anymore because it's now like we have all these different movie houses doing different deals, and then they're like, oh wait, no, we can. So I think it was actually a little bit more, but like not by much, but like I think it's slightly higher. Yeah.
Tone, about to make it known.
I think I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it was very like same level of hypeness for me personally, only because but the thing is there was a difference in how the hypeness came about. It was the unknown versus the what we possibly know. So that's what it was. Like if you break it down, like we knew about Infinity War, but we didn't know exactly like what could possibly be coming. Like we had speculations, but with this, there was so much digging, as I believe, who said that? Dan or Jack? There was so much digging that, okay, we kind of know what we should possibly expecting, and that's what generated that hype. So that's where it was for me.
Fair. What you got, Steve?
Yeah, I agree that the hype was comparable to Infinity War / Endgame, but like Dan said, it's a different kind of hype because like Spider-Man is like the biggest name that they have, so like everybody knows Spider-Man. You might not know like now because of the films, Tony Stark and the Hulk and Thor, blah blah blah, but like before all that, like everybody knew who Spider-Man was, even if you didn't know everybody else. So like you have like the folks who have only seen Spider-Man films are coming out. Like the people who saw every Spider-Man film like me are like, let's go. So it's like you have like the pure Spider-Man like hype alongside mixing in with the MCU hype, which I don't know if that makes it greater than Infinity War Endgame, but it definitely felt comparable. For me, I was able to avoid a lot of the like internet sleuthing that people were doing and speculation and stuff like that because I just didn't want to know. So I may have seen it, but I blocked it out, and I'm glad that I was able to do so. But like for some folks that was a detriment if they saw it and chose to consume. Then it may have lessened it for them. Or if you saw the headline, like my brain already read it, I can't undo it. That's how it is. But
Control Z.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Mic check.
Jillian's trying to make everyone forget.
The spell.
So for me, the hype, like Dan said, is a different type of hype. But if you're speaking like just in this as a general consensus between us, what's that here? Us seven here. If you're talking about that, as far as which was hyper, for me, it had to have been Infinity War only because it took it from Earth and it started to delve into a whole lot of possibilities. Like with Infinity War, you got the Infinity Watch, you got Pip, you got Moondragon, you have all these people that were involved with trying to stop Thanos or Nebula, however you want to look at it. If you look at the comics, for me, it had me hyped because I'm telling my fiance like, yo, do you know what this means? Like, did Adam Warlock? I'm like, there's so many different possibilities. For me, the hype for Infinity War and Endgame was so much greater than Spider-Man. Then on the other side, you got the multiverse. And just to point something out, when they were when the multiverse was cracking, all I could think of was King the Conqueror. I wonder if Scarlet Witch feels this. Like, you could see Rhino and silhouette in the cracks of the people. So the hype there was a different hype, but for me, Infinity War and Endgame was a lot hyper because the depth of characters and stories that can come from or could have come from that was so much greater. It had me super excited. But I think, I mean, as far as excitement level, it was probably equal, but for me, it was Infinity War.
Well said. Well said.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
You have just witnessed the multiverse crossover event of podcasts that we are not just friends with, but family with out here. Our sister podcast, Blurred on the Street. Brother podcast, Ideal Tone. That's the binge and cringe. You know,
Binge and cringe, boy.
and cringe.
Binge or cringe. Binge or cringe.
Binge or cringe.
There you go.
Steve, I this is my first time meeting you, man, and I'm excited. Now I'm like,
Yeah, same.
we gotta do stuff. And the unapologetic mic check. Listen, you have a holiday break. You can go and listen to all these podcasts while you are sitting amongst family that you don't want to talk to, because politics, right? The pandemic.
Yeah, you go off. You make your own table.
Yeah.
You're not at the kids' table. You're not at the
Exactly.
adults' table anymore.
This is also our last.
You at the blurred table.
You're at the
Blurred
blurred
table.
Hell yeah,
There you
Jillian.
go.
Yo, you know what we should do?
Yeah.
We should take the blurred table and then bring our own alcohol so that we have a blurred.
That
Oh,
no,
yeah.
but then if we bring our
A
own
blurred
alcohol, do you understand what
Also,
happens?
No.
Okay.
also, real quick, everybody in here, if we ever get to a point where we all can be in a big space together,
Oh my
I
goodness.
make my own drink like it's a business.
Oh.
Like Mike
He
said,
does.
Oh, hell yeah.
it's my own drink.
would
Oh
love to try
yeah,
that.
for sure.
So, yeah, no.
Well, now we gotta
you
review
said-
it.
Okay, yeah. So next time we all converge, I'll bring Mike Sale.
Cool.
I'm looking really forward to this. The Blurred Bar.
Yeah.
I definitely want you guys on the unapologetic mic check.
Oh, you hit us up. And just a caveat, really quick. This is our last episode of the year. This is-
2021 is done.
After this, we go on a very, I would say, brief break, but it's a break nonetheless. So when you see us, you'll see us. It's a break, so it may not be.
It may not be brief.
It's relative to what you believe is brief.
These are the breaks.
Yeah, all the words. So we will see you guys next year, and thank you for joining us as always.
Yeah.
The links will be obviously in the description
Yes.
for every podcast listed here. Make sure you follow them on their social medias. And hey, y'all have a blessed night.
Y'all have a blessed year.